In the 1970s, Arthur and Bernie Marcus worked for Handy Dan, one of the first home development retail chains. They were both fired in 1978, but they both felt sure they wanted to stay in the home improvement business. So they decided to open their own store to compete with Handy Dan, which was huge at the time. Can you imagine sketching out your next business venture on a napkin? Until 1977, no ideas were floated on a napkin. In 1978, Arthur Blank and Bernie Marcus, the founders of the Home Depot, were able to turn a mere sketch into a major brand. This biggest retail home improvement brand in the US had not yet been born. It only took Blank and Marcus being fired from their previous company, Handy Dan, a chain of home improvement stores, to create this. They both contributed to Handy Dan's sales of more than $155 million. Handy Dan's CFO was Arthur, and Marcus was set to succeed Sanford Siegeloff as CEO. Sanford, who owned 81% of the company, fired both Marcus and Arthur out of professional jealousy. They picked themselves up because they had a lot of angst and talent. The Home Depot journey began after receiving $2 million in initial funding from a network of venture investors, thanks to a close friend of Bernie's, Ken Langone. Although Home Depot was initially undercapitalized, the Home Depot brand has now become a household name in America and Canada. The Home Depot store has almost all of the necessities and tools needed at home. However, while Blank and Marcus were planning, another company had opened a warehouse home improvement store that was nearly identical to the Home Depot model. Pat Farah established that store in the Los Angeles area. What happened next could be described as a wise decision. Blank and Marcus could easily predict that Pat's store would eventually lose money due to poor financial management. Instead of competing with the competition, Blank and Marcus made Pat a modest but quick offer to join Home Depot. They required $3 million in financing to purchase goods for the stores. However, a VC financing deal fell through at the last minute due to the VC's stringent conditions and cultural differences. They approached an old friend and banker in Los Angeles, Mr. Rip Fleming, of Security Pacific National Bank. He literally had to put his career on the line to get Home Depot the credit limit. The bank gave its first startup loan ever, and there might not have been a Home Depot if Rip Fleming had not gone out of his way and put his career on the line. Finally, on June 22, 1979, Home Depot opened its first 60,000 square foot store in Atlanta after many hiccups, including the fact that their advertising agency was unable to place the store opening advertisement in the local newspaper on the day of the launch, and they were forced to hand out 700 $1 bills in the streets to attract customers on the first day. To give the store a full appearance, they had to stack 250 empty boxes and 2,000 empty paint cans on the top racks. In the beginning, they negotiated credit lines with manufacturers by selling them the vision of opening 100 stores over the next few years. Pat quickly joined the Home Depot team after realizing he was on the verge of bankruptcy. Ron Brill, who had recently been fired from Handy Dan's financial management team, joined the trio as their fourth and final partner. Finally, in 1979, the Home Depot opened its first store in Atlanta. Sales were slow and customers came in one at a time, allowing them to attend to them personally and learn about their needs. If they didn't have an item in stock, they would go to another store and hand deliver it to the customer's home or workplace in their own cars. Empty product boxes were strategically placed on high shelves in the first Home Depot stores to create a warehouse look and give customers the impression that its stores were stocked to the rafters with home improvement merchandise. They had a lot of products coming in to fill their shelves, and they arrived in boxes with packing materials, so they ended up with a lot of corrugated materials. They were supposed to have compactors to break down the boxes and other material to keep the space clear, but the compactors were delayed and they didn't get them until 2 or 3 weeks after they opened. There was a point when there was so much material that there was no room to receive any more merchandise, and everyone was working to clear it out. Instead of staying in his office and letting others clean it up, Arthur rolled up his sleeves and began cleaning it up himself. In fact, he ended up staying in the store for 24 hours cleaning up so they could accept more boxes. Bernie Marcus claims that when the first store opened, he spent the first few months stationed in the parking lot conducting informal, impromptu customer surveys, asking people leaving the store without shopping bags why they didn't make a purchase. Many of those who provided feedback stated that the store did not carry the items they were looking for. Marcus & Company resolved that situation by purchasing the products in question from competitors, repricing them at their price, and then delivering them directly to customers. By the end of 1979, they had 3 stores in Atlanta, $7 million in sales, and 200 employees. To attract a large number of customers, they sold at low prices and in flash sales. By the end of 1979, they had lost nearly $1 million in equity while attempting to increase sales. When they spoke to a customer who drove 50 miles to the store after hearing about them from a cousin who lived 70 miles away, they realized they were up to something special at that point. Customers and associates are Home Depot's top priorities, and the two are not mutually exclusive. The company operates on an inverted pyramid, with the customer at the top, then the frontline associates, field and corporate support teams, and finally, the CEO. With their customers in mind, the Home Depot founders developed a customer bill of rights that guaranteed their customers the best assortment, quantity, and price, as well as the assistance of a trained sales associate whenever they visited a Home Depot store. For 3 decades, the Home Depot founders were directly involved in employee training and established practices that could be replicated. Offering ESOPs with a 7-year vesting period early on at Home Depot has helped reduce employee attrition and share the benefits of the company's success with all stakeholders. The Home Depot gained notoriety when JCPenney decided to close the Treasure Island stores, which were direct competitors. Home Depot opened 3 stores in the first year with 200 employees and a sales volume of around $7 million. Over the past 3 decades, Home Depot has opened over 1,500 stores across North America with over $50 billion in sales. Blank & Marcus built a company where employees were valued and mistakes were tolerated. When they first joined the company, all executives, including lawyers, were required to work in the stores. Blank & Marcus both worked in the stores on and off. Now, it's one of the world's top 2,000 largest public companies and one of the most valued brands. Arthur and Bernie had discovered a way to not only have a successful business, but also to compete with and eventually surpass companies that had been in business for decades. Why? They understood that culture was the most important factor. That if employees were happy, engaged, and well-trained, they would provide excellent service to customers. They also understood the importance of actively listening to customers and employees in order to continue to adapt. Other chains, which had been in business for 20, 30, 50 or more years, continued to operate in the same ways without innovating or changing. Arthur and Bernie knew they had to have core values in place from the beginning. These values were as follows: put people first, listen and respond, include everyone, continuously innovate, lead by example, and give back to others. And those values weren't just words on the walls or in the employee handbook. They were values that everyone in the company had to live and breathe on a daily basis. They were the deciding factors in who was hired and promoted. That is what distinguishes them. Today, the Home Depot Incorporated is one of the largest home improvement retailers in the United States, with over 430,000 employees and over 2,300 stores in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Though both Blank & Marcus came from humble beginnings and persevered, they have revolutionized the home improvement industry in America. They not only generated new ideas, but also successfully carried out their vision. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Subscribe to this channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you with another interesting story.